Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the Real Siberius live stream. In this episode, I want to talk about past era greats are being forgotten and ignored. The more I think about this, the more I'm bothered by it. Legends of the game are being erased with the past. As I've been going on this YouTube journey, I've tried to expand my knowledge of the game, diving into facets of the game previously unexplored. Researching the ABA, the MWBA, the Metropolitan Writers Basketball Association, an acronym I had never heard of until I was doing some research on Oscar Robertson and found out he had earned an award from them in 1961 and 1963. I am guilty of it myself. And the reality is, without this channel, I would still be largely ignorant to the past of the game that I love, or at least used to love. I suppose the harsh reality is because there's very little video footage of these eras, it is difficult to get invested. I can read a book or read an article, watch a few documentaries, all of which I do enjoy and have enjoyed, but without the ability to go back and watch full games, full seasons, full careers, I have to admit it's lessened my enthusiasm, and I need to get over that fact. My apprehension is predicated on hangups I have about today's media and their bias and misrepresentation of information and facts. I have in the past held Wilt Chamberlain guilty of LeBron's transgressions. Because of Wilt's statistical dominance, that remains largely unsubstantiated to me due to lack of video evidence, I've dismissed them. And also because he wasn't the winner that Russell and Jordan were, I've tarnished him in my mind, which isn't fair to him, his era, or in fact, his greatness. I have, however, realized the error of my ways and my thinking. Just because I was wrong doesn't mean I have to remain wrong. I can right the ship and change course. With channels like Self-Researched NBA Facts and the Wilt Chamberlain Archive, I have garnered a new respect for past eras that I had previously ignored or was ignorant to. So a big shout out to both of them. I have and am trying to do my best to expand my knowledge and understanding of their game, their basketball prowess, and their struggles. If I have a better comprehension of how they paved the way for the players that I love and respect, it will in turn build my love and respect for them. Here are a few of the players I'm trying to increase my knowledge on, and not to pick favorites, but I have become completely in awe of Oscar Robertson. Those other players are Sam Jones, Bob Pettit, Jerry West, Bob Cousy, Wilt Chamberlain, George Mikan, Bill Russell, Dolph Schayes, Elgin Baylor. The more that I look into all of these great players, I'm just in awe of them. I marvel at their prowess, at their ability to play the game and to play it at an incredibly high standard. I think probably the thing that stuck out to me the most is all of them are fundamentally sound. I've never seen a player that didn't have great footwork, that was traveling and carrying the ball, that was committing offensive fouls or bull rushing. They were all incredibly proficient athletes. It saddens me that I neglected this side of the game so much. But like I said, I can fix it. I just wish there was more game footage. I mean, I've certainly found some watching the Wilt Chamberlain Archive. He has made some absolutely fantastic videos, including footage that's even in 4K. It looks absolutely fantastic. But I need to find ways to find more information. I did see that Netflix has a really great Bill Russell documentary, which I have watched. Um, but beyond that, beyond short clips, beyond a few documentaries, there's just not a lot of that footage around. And I don't know if it's because it was lost or because it never existed in the first place. Have you guys done much research or watching of 50s and 60s basketball? Because I'm incredibly guilty of just kind of ignoring it and passing it off. And then it just really showed my ignorance because I didn't know about it. So anything that was coming out of my mouth or any thoughts that I had were all bullshit. They were all things that I was making up in my brain to justify my ignorance. And that's just not okay. I definitely need to do better in that regard. And that's my intention going forward. I would really like to, while I absolutely enjoy making videos trashing LeBron or modern NBA, I don't always like to be negative all the time. So if there's an entire era of basketball that I've completely ignored that I can expand my knowledge on and help spread that information, help spread that footage, and hopefully garner more respect for it from newer generations, then I feel that I need to do my part in doing that. So hopefully, well, no, I won't even say hopefully. Without question, I will be doing more content on those eras because the more research that I do on something for this channel, the more I found I have a love for it. Even 80s and 90s basketball, which I watched religiously. I mean, sometimes I would watch multiple games a day just because I couldn't suck up enough of it. There's still things I don't know. There's still players that because they weren't on my team or were in my team's division, so they didn't play them very often, I was just completely ignorant to. And I need to improve on that as well. If I want to consider myself a fan of this game, a student of this game, well, I need to be putting in more effort. I have been trying. Oh, and it's so hard. I've been trying to do or give the modern era more of a chance. And it's incredibly difficult. Yeah, finding the footage is incredibly difficult. There really are just highlights or clips. And then, and even Wilt Chamberlain Archive was pointing it out, it's just of the elite players. You will be it would be almost impossible to find footage of the role players on that team. Like you may see them in the background of those clips, but never where they're highlighted, never where they're discussed. And it's difficult. That's frustrating. I mean, some of my favorite players all time weren't the stars on the court. They were the second guy or they were a role player. As a Bulls fan, I was a huge fan of Paxson, but it's easy to find stuff about him now. But imagine in 50 years, even 30 years, it may be more difficult to find that footage. So I need to make sure that I'm doing my part in maintaining that footage, allowing another source for that footage, even if it is just clips, if that's all that exists now, there could come a time where it goes away. So I certainly need to make sure that I am doing my part. As I said in a few of my videos, I don't ever like my lives to feel like a lecture where I'm just spouting information at people. You guys get enough of that shit when you watch my videos. I would certainly like my lives to feel more like a conversation where we're interacting with each other rather than me just talking at you. So, what do you guys want to talk about? If you have any questions for me, I'm certainly game to answer anything. If you have suggestions for videos, I'm always open and up for that. And it doesn't mean I want you guys to lead the live stream. I mean, it's my channel, it's my live stream, that's my fucking job. But I definitely want you guys to have a voice in it. If there's anything that you're thinking about, fuck, even if it's not basketball related, I don't care. Man, me too. It that's just so difficult for me to comprehend in my head his 100-point game that I've had to belittle it in my brain and, jump to that summation that he was playing against firemen and plumbers, which is just ridiculous. But scoring 100 points is it seems so impossible in my head. Even watching Kobe's 81-point game, I was like, how the fuck is this possible? So when I think of 100 points, it's difficult for me to comprehend. I don't doubt that it happened at all. I would just like to see the way in which it happened. I highly doubt it was like Bam Adebayo's game where they basically did everything in their power to gift it to him. I definitely believe that he earned it. That I don't question. And especially, I think sports just had so much more fucking integrity back then that I don't think that they would cheapen the game by doing that. I don't think that they would cheapen Wilt by doing that. I don't think they would cheat the fans by doing that. Now they just don't seem to give a fuck. It's all about what number can we put up on the screen and how can we misrepresent that number into something that it isn't. Yeah, when D-Wade said that, I wanted to slap him. I genuinely think that he said that because that's a fence rider's response. That's how you can credit Jordan and LeBron at the same time without offending either. And to me, it offends both. Man, the Knicks defense, I think the Knicks were Jordan's probably second biggest opposition outside of the Pistons. Between Ewing and Starks and Jesus Christ, my fucking brain. But those two were a huge part of it. I mean, they were locked down. I hated the Knicks because they were an opposition for my team, but I had the utmost respect for them. Every single time that they played, I was on the edge of my seat because I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It wasn't a definitive win in no circumstance. Pacers, absolutely. I mean, they were another incredibly physical team. And with Reggie's ability to basically take a shot from anywhere, and he's absolutely if not top 5, at least top 10 most clutch players. I mean, there's just so many times that he shouldn't have made the shot and he did. I just wish that Reggie would pull his head out of his ass, and I don't know if he's on the unclutch payroll, but the things that come out of his mouth have made me lose almost all respect for him. And I had such a huge amount. Even though I wasn't particularly a Pacers fan, he could fucking play. It makes me sad. I don't know what the hell has happened to all of these past era players where they just start talking crazy. I don't get it. And it frustrates me, especially because they were on the fucking court. I was just watching it on TV. They were there. They saw it happen. They have to be getting paid. I just can't think of another explanation that would make them revise history. It doesn't make any sense. Man, Richard Jefferson too. The thing with Richard Jefferson is that fucker gets so emotional. Like, you'd think LeBron is his lover and you just slapped his girl or something, because and it's not passion. Like, I feel when I talk about sports, I talk about sports with passion. He talks about LeBron like there's lust, and it is crazy. And that video clip of when LeBron came up behind him and like grabbed him in like a reverse bear hug or whatever. I'm not saying it's true, but that makes me feel like those two motherfuckers have been naked together. Oh man, Shannon Sharp too. Oh my God. I was an NFL fan for over 30 years. I was actually a bigger NFL fan than I was an NBA fan. And if the NFL wasn't so you can't post their content at all. A lot of the time they don't even let you talk about their games without flagging you. If they didn't do that, I would probably have an NFL channel. But I love the NBA, or I loved the NBA just as much. So Shannon Sharp, I don't get it. I mean, I wasn't even a Broncos fan, but they had some great teams. And the thing that I think bothers me the most about Shannon Sharp is, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think I am, he never missed a game in his career. How the fuck do you get so behind somebody that load manages constantly as a player that didn't in a more physical game? How do you not? And then he defends him for it. That's how I know that he's being paid, because he is contrary to your actions. And then to not call him out on it? Come on. That is some ridiculous bullshit. Stockton is in my top 5 favorite players of all time. And for a myriad of reasons. One, he's from Spokane. I'm also from Washington. I like to support local athletes, not necessarily local teams, but local athletes. And when anyone says Iron Man of the NBA, there's only 2 people you're allowed to talk about: Stockton and AC Green. That's the list. There aren't other players that you can mention. Do I have respect for the fact that Jordan played 82 games 9 times? Absolutely. But it's not 16 times. And Stockton does not get the respect that he deserves. I even saw some channel talking about Stockton's assists were inflated. What? LeBron's assists aren't even fucking assists. They're just flat out passes. So if you want to talk about, what's up, McZuggins? Yeah, if you want to talk about stats being inflated, passes aren't assists. I really appreciated Uncut Hoops did a video where he was basically debunking that Stockton's assists were inflated, and he actually found, because he went through games and counted them, they were understated, not overstated. And then his steals, and to have both of those records. And unlike LeBron, they're not longevity records. Yes, he did play a long time, but he played at a high level for a long, long time. He was also, I have to be honest, Stockton was a dirty motherfucker, but so was Rodman, and he's one of my favorite players also. I like physical basketball. I like physical defense. And so if you're going to throw the occasional elbow, I don't really have a problem with that. Now, when it's egregious and constant, that's not okay. But if you're playing a rival and they're trying to shut you down, come on. In one of my videos, I was comparing time frame for time frame. I was comparing Jordan scoring versus LeBron scoring with LeBron at 15 years. I believe he was around 3,000 points behind. And it may have been like 1,500. Still, he was well behind in points scored. I measured assists with Stockton. I genuinely believe he was 6,000 assists behind Stockton from when Stockton retired. With rebounds, I think it was even more egregious comparing him to Rodman within that same time frame. That's the thing. Longevity, any record that LeBron has surpassed has taken him so much longer to do it, which to me makes it not noteworthy. For me to care about that record, you need to do it in a shorter amount of time. So now that he has more minutes than, excuse me, more minutes than Robert Parrish, but how many more years did it take you to earn those minutes? Oh, I'd love for you to find it because I would love to hear it. Any information that I can have to tear down a stupid fanboy, I'm all for it. What's crazy, and I have to thank all of you guys for this, in the last 30 days, I have gained 168 subscribers, which is fucking crazy to me. But fanboys, man, they have been coming into my comments. I just recently did that fanboy said what video, and I already have 5 more comments for the next video. They just can't let this shit go. The thing that I find so embarrassing about it, though, is they just say the exact same shit in everyone's comments. They make the same flaccid arguments. They have the same, they have to have a catchphrase book. They cannot think on their own. They just regurgitate the exact same things over and over and over. I don't fucking get it. I appreciate that, John. My name is actually also John. I was going to say, if you people are subscribed to my channel, I was going to say you can call me by my first name. You don't have to call me Siberius, though I also don't mind Siberius. Also, I've been that for decades. And yeah, I think I was just looking at this recently, and it took LeBron so much longer to get to 1,600 games than it took Stockton. Obviously, because Stockton played 82 games so many times, and LeBron only has once. I also didn't realize, and I was rounding up, he misses on average 12 games a season for his entire career. How the fuck can you talk about longevity when you only play 70 games a season? Makes it a lot easier to play 23 fucking seasons when you've missed the equivalent of 2.5 or 3 seasons just sprinkled throughout your career. That's why when they mention longevity in LeBron, I get pissed off. Because it's just an outright lie. I think in one of the recent videos I did, he had missed well, excuse me. He's missed 21 games this season. 14 were at the start, and the other 7 he would just play 3 or 4 games, miss a game, play 2 games, miss a game, play 5 games, miss a game. How do you get hurt and how do you get worn out when you constantly get a fucking break? Yeah, I think it's more than that. I want to say it's around 230 something games that he's missed. Like it is multiple seasons worth of games. I want to say because of this season, he's now missed over 3 seasons worth of games. All right, McZuggins, let me hear it. Or I guess read it. John, that's one thing that I don't understand is they're glazing him. I loved when he finally passed Jordan in 30-point games and AD instantly said, well, it took him 7 more seasons to do it. That's the kind of shit I want people to say, and to say it immediately. I genuinely believe if Bird had not suffered the injuries that he did, especially relating to his back, is he not number one? I mean, I absolutely take into consideration that Jordan's best players at that time were Woolridge, Paxson, and God. I hate my fucking brain. Oakley. You can't expect him to beat the 86 Celtics with that team. But Bird is one of those players that Jordan can't say that he beat because he didn't. And that's part of the reason why Bird is ranked so high. To me, he's my 3rd all time. But he may be, I would say, because I just made that video today of best all around player. Man, I may have to put Bird at number 2 for best all around player. Or maybe he's still 3 under Kobe. The reality is, as long as those are the top 3, I don't really care what order they're in because I respect all of them. And I think they were all, none of them really had significant flaws or weaknesses in their game. Well, that's a huge part of it. I just want you to take accountability. LeBron could, and I say could because that fucking ship has sailed. He could have earned so much more respect for me if every single time he went to the finals and lost, he was saying, that's my fault. I didn't play up to the level that I needed to play for us to win. I let my team down. That's crazy. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that because I think I actually just got a comment from another fanboy. Oh, okay, never mind. He's talking about Scotty. That's fine then. Well, he was so much more efficient with the ball. Well, I had pointed out in my video today, LeBron's turnovers should be way, way higher, but they're not counting his travels and carries, and they're not counting his offensive fouls. So that means almost all of his turnovers are from bad passes and bad dribbling. So when they say he can pass like Magic Johnson, what? Have you ever seen Magic Johnson play? Because they don't play anything alike. But yeah, 5,000 more assists and 1,000 less turnovers is crazy. Anthony, what's up? I appreciate you guys coming into these lives. It's something that I am still developing comfort and skill with. I'm still learning how to use the software. I'm still getting comfortable with talking off the cuff. When I make a video, I do only make it in one take. I think there have been 3 videos that I took multiple takes, and it's because I fucked up so bad in recording the video. It wasn't even necessarily in what I said, it was in what I was doing that I just had to completely redo it. So I appreciate that you guys are tolerating this while I figure out what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know how you have over 5,600 turnovers and anyone could consider you the greatest basketball player of all time. I appreciate that. It's funny. The very first live that I did that was only like 45 minutes long, I was so fucking nervous the entire time. It was getting in my head. I was stumbling over my words a lot more, and it immediately improved from the second one. And now that I think I'm on my fourth, it's just gotten a lot easier. It's absolutely one of those things that it will improve with practice. And I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but the video I made about being terrible is good for you. This is fucking proof. And it may not be terrible to you guys, but to me, it's pretty terrible. I'm just sucking it up and it will improve in time. I would eventually like to do call ins and, actually get a chance to talk with some of you like live. But I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. I still have the ideas for wanting to do that live interviews with people where I just have these set questions that I ask and then some off the cuff questions that I ask just so we can kind of get to know each other's basketball history, why we like basketball, what basketball means to us, things of that nature. Yeah, that's another one of those things that really, I think, eliminates you from any GOAT debate is you have 125 players traded and 5 coaches, 8 coaches fired. McZuggin, that's crazy. It just goes to show how Stockton was far more efficient. Well, I don't make excuses. If I learned anything in my life, it's that excuses are meaningless. If you can't take accountability for the things that you've done, I don't want to hear it. Especially if you make excuses of, oh, my life is hard. Well, get fucked. Everyone's life is hard. I don't want to hear that either. Are you sure it's only 6? I think there were 5 for the Lakers alone. I feel like it's more than that. It could be that maybe the other coaches on his teams weren't fired, and the majority of that happened since he's been on the Lakers. 6 in total. I mean, that's still a lot of fucking coaches. That's more coaches than Jordan had in his entire NBA career. I can't name them all because I don't even like to watch LeBron play, let alone watch him enough to know who has or hasn't coached him. I also, and I'm curious your guys' opinion on this. Do you think there's even a need for coaches in the NBA, in the modern NBA? Given that it seems they cannot critique their players, they cannot reprimand their players in any type of punishment. If the player goes to the Players Association, any punishment that was levied against them is revoked or rescinded. So you know what's funny is I actually have another YouTube account called Le Peekaboo James, and my profile picture is, him peeking out from under his hand. I don't ever really use it very often, but occasionally I just like to troll people with it. I just don't think coaches have an impact. I don't think they get to dictate what happens on the game or in the game, especially because every fucking team plays exactly the same. So what are you coaching? Everybody does the exact same thing. So why are they there? I mean, I suppose as a coach, it has to be kind of nice. Like you're just getting paid to sit on the sideline and act like you give a fuck. Because, like, what does JJ Redick do? I've seen him do things that hurt the Lakers, like not making substitutions and going through an entire second half without playing a single 7-footer. So, what the fuck are you doing? Richard, how's it going? Like, is there a point to coaches at all? I just remember when coaches dictated the game on the court. And because they themselves had such a high basketball IQ and knowledge, they were seeing things that the other players weren't seeing because you only have, your 180 degrees of vision, which it may not even be that. So they're seeing things that are taking place outside of your field of vision. So they can say the defense is doing this. If we shift our offense, we can do this. This player's being left open. If we, set a screen and get them the ball, they used to dictate what happened on the court. I just don't feel like they do that anymore. ARW, he really does suck. And all of those, numbers that he holds are simply because he just refuses to stop fucking playing. It's not any statistical dominance. It's if you refuse to stop doing something, stats will just keep coming and coming and coming. And especially if you stat pad like he does, if you stay in games late, if you're yelling at your teammates because they picked up your rebounds. I really don't understand how any type of greatness, how he can be viewed with any type of greatness. I just don't see it. When I was saying in that video that I made today about best all around player, so I was genuinely examining and scrutinizing Jordan, trying to find, okay, he has to have something. Not everybody's great at everything. It was really hard to find a fucking weakness. But when I shifted that lens to LeBron, it was easy to find weaknesses. So I just don't know what the hell they're talking about. I would agree with that, McZuggins. I think that's probably true that they're probably the only team, at least in the modern era, that could probably have a coach that could make recognizable changes to the outcome on the court. I agree. I sometimes struggle with coaches because there's always that argument in all sports. Is it the star that's dictating the success, or is it the coach that's dictating the success? It happened with Jordan, and it happened with Brady. It happens all over. And I definitely think the coach plays a role, but without the execution of the star, does it fucking matter? Because coaches always like to say it's the coach. But is it? That means the coach could take the worst players in the league and turn them into a winning team. I just don't think that's possible because if they can't execute your vision, nothing's going to happen. Jimmy Johnson, perfect example. Are the Cowboys an elite, or are the Cowboys a dynasty without Jimmy Johnson? I think they probably are. With Aikman as QB, Emmitt Smith as running back, and their offensive line, I do. I agree. I do think it's both. But I think I've always viewed it this way. If you take all of the elite players on your team and remove the coach entirely, I still think they have a possibility of winning. If you remove all of the elite players and replace them with, say, your third string, and they still follow all of that coach's direction, I just don't know. I mean, it takes talent to put their vision into action. And I don't want to disparage coaches. I think coaches play a huge significant role. I just always edge on giving the players more of the benefit of the doubt than the coaches. And then with like the whole Brady situation where he goes to Tampa Bay and wins them a Super Bowl and Bill Belichick is out of a job. I think that's a solid way to look at it, Richard. I mean, they kind of play hand in hand with one another. I don't ever want to say one couldn't do it without the other because I think, well, I mean, a pretty perfect example with Jordan is before Phil Jackson came in, the triangle offense was never fully implemented. He was the one that took that play style and said, "This is what we're going with. This is what we're doing." And it took everyone time to adjust and to adapt to that play style. But if they didn't implement the triangle play style, I mean, it wasn't working before Phil Jackson came along. Like they would win games, but they weren't winning championships. You know, that was the thing that absolutely made me respect Jordan is his loyalty to his coach. He had the mindset of we've won with Phil Jackson. I didn't win before he got here, so my loyalty is with him. And yeah, what have the Bulls garnered from not having Phil Jackson or not having Jordan? They have been just as big of a disappointment as the Vikings have been to me through all of my years watching the NFL. Well, and that's another thing that makes Jordan the GOAT is he's coachable. He didn't have the ego to say, "What the fuck do you know? Don't tell me how to play the game." He said, "Oh, okay. I will absolutely make that adjustment." Man, I feel sorry for the Buffalo Bills. That was rough because I watched all of those Super Bowls and they have so many Hall of Famers on that team. And it led to nothing. However, I do respect the Bulls more than I respect LeBron, even though, you know, the Bulls went to 4 and lost 4. Sometimes shit just doesn't work out your way. And they lost to some pretty damn good teams. But what did they have? So they had Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, uh, who's the oh my god, all-time leader in sacks? Bruce Smith. Cannot remember who their running back was though. Yeah, they were a stacked team. I mean, in the NFL, Bruce Smith. Yeah, Bruce Smith. There you go. They were a stacked team. It just when it came down to it, the other team got it done and they didn't. That's always one thing that I actually did not like about the NFL is all other sports were a series. It was best of 5 games, best of 6 games, best of 7 games. Super Bowl, it's one game. And there are so many times I think if it was a series that the team that won would not have won. And I absolutely believe that the Buffalo Bills probably would have been one of those teams that if they had more than just a game to figure it out, they probably would have done so. But that's never going to happen in football. There's a part of me that respects it though. Like, you better show up today or you're walking home empty handed. But I'd be curious to see how it would work out if it was a series. Oh, so he was the running back? Then who the hell was their wide receiver? It's been a long time. Damn, like it's almost on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. McZuggins, I enjoyed when they touched on that in The Last Dance. And I wish there was more information on that. Because didn't he win multiple championships in the Puerto Rican League? Or I think it was back-to-back championships. That's why I thought it was funny when JJ Redick was made the coach and he had Andre Reed, son of a bitch. How could I forget Andre Reed? Do you happen to know if he finally made it into the Hall of Fame? Because I know most of them had by this point, but I can't remember. I mean, my knowledge of Phil's coaching style, which I have to be honest, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to, especially like back when they were playing. I was just too young to appreciate that kind of detail. I mean, from what they touched on in The Last Dance, it certainly seems to encapsulate his style of just being able to deal with different personalities and attitudes and finding ways to meld all of those different personalities together so there was significantly less confrontation or butting heads, especially in sports because there's so many egos, there's so many alphas that navigating those different personalities and being able to interact with all of them and getting them to interact with each other has got to be an incredibly difficult task. Oh, good. I'm glad Andre Reed made it to the Hall of Fame because he was absolutely fantastic. It's just wide receiver is one of those positions that it's just oversaturated. So sometimes it takes people multiple tries before they get in. I mean, unless, you're Calvin Johnson or, Jerry Rice, where you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But that's one of the things that I always liked about Phil Jackson is his ability to navigate personalities and especially to take somebody as eccentric and troubled as Dennis Rodman and be able to help him focus and getting the best out of him. Because when he played for the Spurs, whoever I was going to say Popovich didn't do it. I'd love to know more about it. More about his time playing in Puerto Rico. I think that would be incredibly interesting, especially because he just went from coaching in the Puerto Rican League to being an assistant coach to being the head coach and never really struggled. I mean, in fairness, he also did have some of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game on his teams. Like, that's certainly got to help. Like, I'm curious, how would Phil Jackson had done if he was on the New Jersey Nets in that time? Does he still have the same success? Oh yeah, he's absolutely well. And what's funny about Shannon Sharp is he'll occasionally forget that he's getting that paycheck. Like when he was talking about what was her name, Clarissa Rice or Reese, the female boxer, and he accidentally said she's the Michael Jordan of boxing, and then he had to awkwardly shoehorn LeBron into that conversation. Which the funny part is she had never lost, so she is the Michael Jordan of boxing. Had she gotten her ass kicked a number of times, she would be the LeBron of boxing, but she never lost. I mean, and it was so awkward the way he had to force LeBron into that conversation. I mean, it was almost as pathetic as Pat McAfee forcing LeBron into that conversation with Coach K. Like, come on, man. If you have to force somebody into that conversation, they clearly don't fucking belong. Clarissa Shields, that's what it was. I remembered her name was Clarissa, but the last name was escaping me. But yeah, she's a great fucking boxer. So to insult her by calling her the LeBron of boxing is just crazy. Especially when you had it right the first time. I hope he's fired soon. There's a part of me that, I mean, I'm incredibly grateful that things like podcasts exist because if they didn't, I probably, wouldn't be able to have this channel. But it's just offering him another platform to spread his idiocy. So I kind of wish they didn't exist. Like, how nice would it be to not have to hear all of these jackasses' opinions? He said a few things that have almost got him in trouble. Like when he was talking about Jordan would average a 40-point triple double. And then Rich Paul had to, I don't know, act all offended and start pretending like he knows Jordan. Then again, and man, I have to be honest, Jordan has been pissing me off lately. I think he too needs to shut the fuck up because he keeps saying things that I can't agree with or forgive. Rich Paul doesn't know shit about shit. He is the epitome of pseudo intellectual. He likes to pretend like he's incredibly smart, but as soon as you question anything that he says, he has nothing to substantiate it or back it up. Yeah, Max Kellerman, I understand why he got fired. But he just found another place to spew his ignorance, which is just sad. I'd be fine with all of this if there were consequences for the things that people said. And I'll even include myself in that. I was going to say, I've been talking crazy shit about LeBron and Pippen, and it would be great if they called me and I had to say it to their face. I still would. But it would be nice if people had to stand behind their words. Oh man, I remember when he said that when he was listing off all of the reasons why Jordan was famous. I'm pretty sure I actually made a video on that. But yeah, when he was saying that crack helped sell Jordans. Now, I will be honest, having grown up in the 80s during the crack epidemic, there were a lot of drug dealers that I can't say that I knew or that I saw that were wearing Jordans. I mean, but also everyone was wearing Jordans. I mean, I think sitting behind me, I have 22 pairs of Jordans. So I was helped making them famous. I don't know if he was implying that the crackheads themselves were buying Jordans because every crackhead I ever met in my life would not have spent their money on shoes. They had spent it on crack. I think he was saying more the dealers of the crack were spending it on shoes. And I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but it's not what made Jordan's shoes famous. I think I bought my first pair of Jordans in 1988. They were Jordan 3s. And man, I had to work my ass off to get those shoes, which is just crazy. I mean, Jordans were so ubiquitous. My mom owned a pair of Jordans. That tells you everything that you need to know about Jordans is moms wore Jordans. They were everywhere. I mean, commercials, movies, TV, everyone in my school. I mean, I remember because I've lived in Seattle my entire life. There were a few people that got killed for their Jordans. I don't think anyone's ever been killed for a pair of LeBrons. I mean, not that anybody should be killed for shoes, but come on. He did without question. That's the thing that's funny in that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. Converse were the shoe of the NBA when Jordan came into basketball. Bird had custom Converse, Magic had custom Converse, Kareem had custom Converse. A lot of players were with Converse, and Converse was the official shoe of the NBA. Nike was a track and field shoe. I used to run track and field. I bought Nikes because they were the best track and field shoe. They didn't make basketball shoes, or if they did, nobody fucking knew about them. He turned Nike from a company that likely would have gone bankrupt into, well, quite frankly, Nike is hugely responsible for the state of the NBA, but into the multi-million dollar or fuck billion dollar corporation that they are. It was Jordan that did that. I have seen LeBrons at Ross. You never see Jordans at Ross. You don't even see flight Jordans at Ross. And they do go on clearance fast. So my brother and I, one of our side hustles is we sell high-end shoes. And one fucking time, we bought a pair of LeBrons because we bought them for dirt fucking cheap. And they're pretty rare. It has been 2.5 years and we cannot sell them. We have keep lowering the price and lowering the price and lowering the price. People will not buy them. So they're just sitting in my closet waiting for some fool to finally spend their money on them. But in all likelihood, I'm probably going to end up donating them. Yeah, he did want to go with Adidas. The thing that's crazy about that is from my personal experiences, Adidas has always been soccer shoes. I've never known Adidas to be associated with basketball. I mean, they could have changed that with Jordan, but obviously they didn't. It's ridiculous. I don't think Tim Duncan gets nearly the respect that he deserves. And it's disgusting because I mean, there may be one, two other guys that are better at his position. And if somebody said he's the best, I'm not even going to fight him too hard on it. Richard, it was court shoes. Like there are, I mean, you can find the commercials for both Bird and Magic talking about their Converse shoes. Uh, and there's actually an incredibly cringy commercial where they all sing and Magic is singing about being champion and Bird is singing about 3 MVPs. And their shoes are not really anything to look at. The disrespect of all past eras has gotten crazy, but it's not like Tim Duncan's been out of the game for 40 years. Like he's played recently. Like I don't understand. I've never in the entirety of my time watching the NBA and the entirety of my time watching baseball and football, I've never seen a sport disrespect past eras like the modern NBA. I don't understand. Well, that's another thing. All of these people that LeBron is apparently the GOAT over have all won more chips than him. I mean, all right, I guess maybe not Bird because I think Bird only has 3, but the bubble ring doesn't count. So at least they're tied. I mean, you can't argue Havlicek or Russell. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Robert Ory. Um, but my question is whenever people mention Ory is how many of those did he win? Okay. Okay, that motherfucker has to go. I said it before and I'll say it again. Fanboys don't get a voice on my channel. If you're going to start talking idiocy like, why doesn't the bubble ring count? I don't want to talk to you. So you can get the fuck out. That's how I always looked at him. Like, Robert Ory was just on good teams. Like, he a deciding factor in any of those championships? Abso-fucking-lutely not. So saying 7 rings when it comes to him, yeah, I'm just gonna disagree, and I don't give him any credit for that. I mean, he was on the teams, but to me, that's like saying, in most organizations, when they win a championship, everyone within that organization gets a ring. Like, they may not be the same level rings, but the equipment manager for the Chicago Bulls during the 90s has 6 rings. Should I be impressed by that? Like, he did his job and good for him. But come on. Do you put him in the same conversation with Jordan? You don't. I may need to do some more research on Robert Ory because like I said, I don't know a lot about him. I've heard his name a lot, but in all of the basketball that I have watched and all of the research that I've done, the only thing that I know about him is that he has 7 rings and it's from being on 7 good teams. Larry Hughes, isn't he the Scottie Pippen for LeBron James, meaning he couldn't win shit until they showed up? Pretty sure that's who that is. I always love throwing that in fanboys' face when they say, well, I just had one in my comments today. I didn't respond to him because I don't respond to them. Uh, okay, yeah, that's where I learned it is from AOH. But when they like to say that Jordan didn't win until Pippen came around, I say, LeBron didn't even get out of the fucking playoffs until Larry Hughes got into the playoffs until Larry Hughes came around. And that's way more embarrassing. So was it sometimes with my fucking brain, I just can't remember things when I want to remember them. Was it 86 and 87 that Jordan lost to Bird in the playoffs, or was it 85, 86? Well, that's another thing that I like to point out to him. And 3 of those 4 fucking rings came from LeBron. I mean, he did have it made. Like, talk about just an elite list of players. And when you're playing with all of those guys, Hakeem Sheck, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili, you're not the difference maker. If they kick you off of that team and you never existed, they're still winning those fucking rings without you. He did help. He absolutely helped. But I don't think he's the difference maker. Oh yeah, I think it damn it, excuse me. I think it was 86, 87. But it was only 2 years. And the first 2 years of LeBron's career, he didn't even make the playoffs. So I've just always thought that that was an interesting argument. Yeah, when he broke that bone in his foot. And see, this is just another in 86 I was 10. Uh McZuggins, were you born? I don't know how old you are. which is crazy. And it was a playoff record at that time. And I think it stood for like 20 years. It was a long time that that record stood. Yeah, I don't remember the exact dates. I want to say they were in December, but I wouldn't trust my brain as far as I can throw it. That was my guess. I wasn't thinking that you were born. But yeah, I remember watching both of those games. April, yeah, see, it just shows my brain doesn't know what the fuck it's talking about. And yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. The NBA playoffs are not in fucking December. So again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I can tell you guys it was the best time to ever watch the NBA. Like the 90s were good, but like Jordan was just next level at that time. See, again, I can't trust my brain, but I actually thought it was the other way around. I thought he scored 49 and then 63 because I thought 49 was a record that Bird had just broken for Boston Garden. And they're like, well, I mean, yeah, he beat it, but is he ever going to do that again? And then the next game he scored 63. I could be wrong though. Either way, both games were impressive. It does make me wonder, and like I've always said, I don't really believe in the would have, could have, or should have narratives. But do the Bulls beat the Celtics in 86 and 87 if Pippen's on that team? I don't know. I mean, the reality is it doesn't fucking matter. But it may have been the slight difference maker. Oh, so is that must be the record that he broke is when when he hit 63, he broke Bird's record. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm sorry. I should shut the fuck up if I don't know what I'm talking about. But 60 still impressive. And especially because that was the Atlanta Hawks with Neek and another amazing basketball player that I just don't think he gets the respect he deserves anymore. And it makes me sad. I mean, when you have a name like the human highlight film, like, come on. That means you're something special. I completely agree. I absolutely agree that Larry Bird had the highest basketball IQ. I think even if you took Jordan, who has an incredibly high basketball IQ as well, but if you gave him Bird's athleticism and physicality, does he still become Michael Jordan? Probably not. That was a huge part of it is playing the game within the game. Kobe makes me sad and not because he's no longer with us, but because I only saw the first 2 years of his career, and then I stopped watching basketball, so I missed, well, because he played for 20 years, didn't he? So I missed 18 years of his career. Had I known what he was going to be, I would have kept watching, but I had no idea. And I can go back and watch it now, but, like, it would have been so nice to be able to see him live because I would have had the chance, but because I didn't watch, it didn't matter. Charles Oakley was pretty average. However, he was basically, I mean, he played defender for Jordan. So, when the Knicks were coming at him, when the Pistons were coming at him, when he was still on the team, I was going to say he, kind of played fucking bodyguard, or at least, would go back at them after they went at Jordan. So, like, I never had an issue with Oakley. Like, he wasn't a great player, like, at all. But I think he had a role and I think he played it well. And then the fact, wasn't he traded for Bill Winnington? Pretty sure it was Bill Winnington, which is crazy because Bill Winnington also not a great player. If I did subscribe to the whole would have, could have, should have, I want to know how great Jordan would be if he had a dominant center, which he never had. Because even Luke Longley, not great. I think LeBron would have been carried out of the arena in a body bag if he played against the Pistons. I mean, first of all, I don't think they would have needed a LeBron rule for him in the 80s because they just would have beat the shit out of him and he probably would have quit. But if they did, I mean, there's no way that he's going to overcome and defeat them. Was it Will Purdue? It had to have been Will Purdue. I think you are correct. And also, thanks for joining the live. See, it's fucking annoying. This is the kind of shit that bothers me about my brain injury is I have all of this knowledge in my head. It's just been scattered around now. So I can't place it quickly. If I sat here for like 5 minutes and thought about it, I'd probably get it right in my brain. But on a live, that would be incredibly boring for all of you guys. There would just be an incredible amount of dead air as I tried to think this shit out. So feel free to call me out when I'm wrong because it does happen. He absolutely would have left the NBA. There is no way. I mean, probably his biggest rival was either the Spurs or the Warriors, and he never ended up dominating them. And were they playing him like the Pistons played him or the Knicks played him? Absolutely not. And there is no way that he ever would have overcome them. He would have had a meltdown worse than 2011. And I think it's funny. I've heard fanboys call out Michael Jordan because he went to the commissioner or the players union and talked about, how the Pistons were basically beating the shit out of him. And because of him, flagrant fouls were added to the NBA. and had to be carried off the court. That shit's embarrassing. I did mention that in one of my weaker LeBron shoe ideas is they had thumbtacks in the bottom so you'd have to be carried off the court. It's just crazy the fact that not only that people still believe it, but they act like they defend him with their dying breath. Yeah, I've always been curious. How did the fan base react when he, went on his whole not one, not two, not three, not four, like all of that bullshit? Did it build hype? Or were they like, you haven't won anything? How about win one and then you can talk about winning more? That's what I found so cringy about it is Dwayne Wade had one at that time. LeBron had none. Bosch had none. And then he's talking about they're going to win 8 because he did say not 7. So not 7 means 8. I don't know. It's embarrassing. I always liked Pat Riley. I still like him. The fact that he retired Jordan's number in Miami and Jordan never played there, I just have huge respect for that. The fact that he's like, nope, no one will be wearing 23 on my team. I absolutely respect and appreciate that. And then the whole milk and cookie thing, like, come on. He really is like dealing with a child. Woodage, what's going on? Normally I do like 2 hours on this shit. I don't know how much longer this one's going to be. I probably should have eaten before I got on. But I will definitely hang out a bit longer. So I don't know if any of you guys are hockey fans. I've just kind of started getting into it. Uh, but my brother just sent me a text that said Wayne Gretzky is going to be beaten in career goals and in 5 less seasons it's looking. That is how you break a fucking record. You have to do it in less time. If it's not in less time, it's bullshit. And quite frankly, I don't want to hear about it. Oh, what's funny is if I ever slick my hair back, I 100% think of Pat Riley also. Man, hockey really has changed a lot. And it's disappointing because I used to watch it a little bit when I was young. And again, I don't know how, but the 80s and 90s were just the golden age for all fucking sports. So I didn't get to see Gretzky play live, but I did watch him like in real time on TV. And my ability to recall hockey data is even worse than my ability to recall NBA data. Brett Hull, there were a few other guys that I got to see, and they've basically completely removed fighting from the game, which I know Ovechek passed him in something. I can't remember what it was though. It may have been in total points. We were incredibly spoiled in the 80s and 90s. I mean, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, fuck, even tennis. Like, It was just absolutely elite at all levels. See, that I wish I could have saw, Wootage. I didn't watch a lot of hockey. You know, being in Washington where I'm from, it's not terribly big. You know, we didn't have an NHL team, so we didn't really get into it a whole lot. We have a pretty good amateur team. Unfortunately, now we do have an NHL team, and they're just not great. Oh no, I have to agree. If the whole steroid thing did not happen in MLB, I think the MLB would have died. What's up, Pause? I wish I knew more about hockey. I've started going to games now, and it's absolutely not what it was. It bothered me because I mean, it was even a few years ago that they basically outlawed fighting, but I just went to a game not that long ago, and they're really starting to do the same thing with hitting now. And I'm like, it's not fucking ice skating. I want to see people get hit. I want to see people fight. I have been getting back into MLB. I don't know because we have the Thunderbirds. They're our amateur hockey team, and they still fight in that at that level. Are they? What level is that? Uh, WHL. What the fuck is? I don't know. It's pretty good. I've seen a few Thunderbirds games, and they're pretty interesting. I definitely have to say I have enjoyed them. You know, this is going to sound like I picked the best team. I 100% did not. The Dodgers have always been my team, but they were my team when they were the Brooklyn Dodgers. I'd like to do more content on other sports as well. I just never knew if anyone would be fucking interested. Yeah, I have huge respect for all of those players, John. I kind of wish that Ewing had won a ring, but I also wish Stockton had won a ring. I wish Barkley had won a ring. Like, well, when you play against the best ever, I do have to say though, McZuggins, like having Shohei Otani on the team, that fucking helps. And well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's why, like, I can't blame people that played in the 90s for not getting a ring because Jordan was really the only one that got a ring, aside from Olajuwon. That's actually a question that I would like to pose to all of you. If Jordan never retires, so he doesn't go play baseball, he stays in the NBA the entire time, does Olajuwon win 2 rings if Jordan doesn't retire at all? I have to believe he doesn't lose. I love Olajuwon. Probably, I think my favorite center is David Robinson. I think arguably the best center, though, is probably Olajuwon. Well, that's the thing. I was gonna say Olajuwon against Cartwright and Purdue. Yeah, I mean that's rough. I do. I have to say no, and it's I have to say that because betting against Jordan is just a bad bet. I agree, Woodage. I think Olajuwon would have crushed Cartwright and Purdue, but is that enough for the Bulls not to win? Because Jordan played against great big men and he still won. So it's hard to say. And again, it's, the whole would have, could have, should have. He absolutely would have had the easier matchup. And I agree, McZuggins. It would be a series. That's actually a series that I would not be surprised if it went to a game 7. Because I think they would be battling until the bitter end. I think it has to be Hakeem that he, probably respected the most. How could it not be? It makes me laugh that, LeBron has that tape of him, practicing or training with Hakeem, and then you never ever saw him put any of that information to work in his game. Will Chamberlain Archive, how are you? I have the utmost respect for your channel. I have been going through all of your backlog and just enjoying the hell out of it. I wish I had discovered it long ago. But I didn't. And I actually have to shout out, was it Angry Old Hoops or Sports and Fitness Rants? They're the ones that turned me on to your channel. I think it may have been Sports and Fitness Rants. I know you were on one of their live streams and I absolutely enjoyed that. But I think one of them pointed out pointed me to your channel. I strive to provide the quality content that you do. It honors me that you even stepped in here to say hello because you're absolutely one of the channels that I respect and inspired me to start my own. Oh, interesting. See, again, teaching me things that I don't know. That's the thing, McZuggins. I would love to have seen it. I mean, I'm afraid if AI ever gets that good where it could kind of show me what would happen, it also might take over the world. So I'm not exactly sure how much I am on board for that. But man, I would have loved to see it. I'm going to look it up because I've heard of Cliff Hagan, but I actually have not seen him play. Oh, see, that's awesome. I'm jealous. For my 50th birthday, which is on Sunday, uh, I actually was able to finagle my way into a autographed picture of Oscar Robertson addressed to me specifically. And I didn't think I would ever have that. And I finally decided, you know what? You don't turn 50 every day. I need this in my life. And it hasn't arrived yet, but I can't wait. I need to really expand my autographed memorabilia. All of the merchandise or the yeah, all of the merchandise that I have now is all Chicago Bulls. Actually, that's not true. My brother recently bought me an autographed picture with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, which I also hold in incredibly high regard. What I love about this community is they're all incredibly supportive of each other. And we're always trying to further educate each other. And it's really renewed my love for the game because I took, I think, a 22-year long break from watching the NBA. And when I came back, it was not a great time to come back. But it's the community that has renewed my love for the game. It's not really the play that's happening on the court right now. That's awesome. Yeah, I think all of my shoes are Nikes. Mainly, I own Jordans. I have a few pairs of Rodmans. I have a few pairs of Pippins. You know, Will Chamberlain archive. I had seen a little bit of Jerry West, probably more Jerry West than I had of Oscar Robertson. But that video that you did with both of them, I just didn't realize how incredibly fundamentally sound Oscar Robertson was. And also how you highlighted that he shoots the ball one-handed. I I was speechless. He absolutely encapsulated my attention and like I want to know everything there is to know about him now. If you know of any good books or especially or if there are any videos or documentaries, I would absolutely love to know because I just want to indoctrinate myself with that information. I learned a lot about Jerry West in that video too. And I hope I'm not misremembering again because of my brain. Sometimes I just get facts twisted. Um, but it was Jerry West that on his final dribble before he shot, he dribbled it extra hard so it would bounce up to his shooting position. That's just fascinating. I've never heard of another player that did that. That would be fantastic. My email address is on my channel, but it's therealsiberius@gmail.com. And if you have that, I mean, I'll pay you for it. I would absolutely love to see that. I have been scouring like eBay and Etsy and places like that where people share or sell that old media. I've been scouring them, but man, it is hard to find. And it bums me out because especially now that I've gained so much interest in it and I just want to go down that rabbit hole, there's just not a lot of it to be had. The majority of what I've seen is on your channel or finding, other channels that have very similar data. Yeah, that is a struggle because I would really like to have like to spread that far and wide. But yeah, because of copyright, they make it incredibly difficult. I think they've really cracked down on that fair use. And I think the fair use label is disingenuous because, especially if you're reacting to it or if you're offering an audio commentary over it, I think that is fair use. And most of the time, if you do get flagged for a copyright, they're not going to challenge it. If you challenge it, they typically do not respond, but you have to wait 30 days for that copyright to expire. And then you have to wait another 30 days for it to be cleared off of your account. And then like you get your video back, but by then it's too late. And that's just incredibly frustrating. Oh, wow. Thankfully, I haven't had that. I mean, I'm still very new at this game and I haven't had a whole lot of experience, but yeah, threatened to be sued. I'd probably just take it down. Well, and I mean, and that's the way to do it. If you can generate your own content, especially if you're remixing it in ways so it's not being flagged, that's probably just the smarter way to do it. It's the only way that I've gotten away with some of the content that I've showed on my channel, and not even that there's a ton of it. But if I can mix up how it's portrayed in the video, then yeah, most of the time it goes through. And once I've had a video uploaded, I haven't had any issues with it being flagged. Well, that's gotta be hard. And I mean, I did not realize how much editing is involved in having a YouTube channel. Even probably the first 20, 30 videos I made didn't even have video footage in it. Editing takes a lot of work and is incredibly time consuming, especially if you start, adding in tricks and, to really make it look good and sound good. It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. I'm happy to do it now, but it was not the experience I thought it was. Wow, that's crazy. 5.4 is a lot. Wilt is one that I really would like to see full games, full seasons, full career, but it just doesn't exist. Well, that's great. I would absolutely love to see more content from you. I mean, however, the quality of the plumber and fireman video was so good, like it's worth the wait. 8.8 is insane. I would love to see that. I mean, I would pay an exorbitant amount of money to be able to see that. So actually, it's fortuitous that you're here, Wilt Chamberlain Archive. Um, I believe your name is Dan. I remember because that's also my dad's name. Uh, is it that the footage never existed, or is that it's so old as it is either deteriorated, been destroyed, been lost, or was it just never there to begin with, just because everything wasn't recorded like it is today? That was my fear, is that it simply wasn't recorded. I mean, even though, they obviously had some level of the technology available, it wasn't ubiquitous. And I'm sure it wasn't viewed in the same light. And that makes sense that it would be more local. Like if it's not nationally broadcast, then, that's limiting the people that even have the opportunity to record it. It's disappointing. Woodage, I think I heard that it was basically offered to him by some archiving company, and he's like, "Nah, it's not necessary." Well, yeah, I mean, just within my lifetime, I remember tape being incredibly expensive, so I can't even imagine back then, because you couldn't just run into any store and grab it, and it was still a relatively new medium, so, that's funny to think about, but I imagine that exact circumstance did take place. But see, that's something I wish they would just offer a subscription service to and let me watch it all. I mean, even if they made it DRM so I couldn't download it in any way, I just like to view it and I would be happy to pay them money to have access. They just don't seem to be, oh, they don't know. Okay. Well, no, I guess that makes sense. That's unfortunate. I wish there was a way around that because, as the title of this live stream suggests, a lot of that is being forgotten or ignored. Yeah, see, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. It makes me sad. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I was only, 4 years old in 1980, so I don't remember a lot of it. Thankfully, I started watching the game pretty early, and even despite brain injuries, I still have, pretty vivid memories of it. It's Yeah, copyrights are a challenge, and they're difficult to circumvent for sure. Hopefully things will change in the future. I mean, is it one of those things? So, like, I know with music, after a time it becomes public domain. Is there any possibility of that archived footage becoming public domain? I'd love for it to happen. I mean, I imagine that it's probably unlikely, if not impossible, but it's still one of those things that I'll hope for until I die. Well, if Disney's involved, that doesn't surprise me at all. I remember when Steamboat Willie was going to become public domain, and yeah, they did everything in their power to make sure that that didn't happen and that it wouldn't happen again. It's unfortunate because, especially as long as they have not even necessarily rights of that footage, but access to that storage, who's it benefiting? Like, why not find some way and even monetize sharing it with the public? It's something I want to see. So, if you're providing me a service that I want access to, I'm willing to pay money for it. Yeah, man, that would be something to see. I can only hope that, in time, hopefully before I die, I'll get an opportunity to at least see some of it. Like, there's probably more than I could realistically watch, but just having any access to it. I mean, it makes sense. I think if it was a realistic possibility, somebody probably would have figured it out by now. I absolutely will. I'm actually making a note of it right now so I do not forget. Oh, man. See, now I just want it even more, and I'm just setting myself up for disappointment. Yeah, that would be amazing, but probably unlikely. Oh, that's crazy. I'd pay to just see that. Yeah, I have a lot more research to do. I have a lot more footage to try to find, even if it's just small snippets of it, because I'm just so uneducated on it, and it's not okay. I need to do something about it. I didn't see that. What did they do to Steamboat Willie? Angry Old Hoops, that is a fair comment. I will certainly try to do that because, yeah, I'm just reading them to myself and responding like people can follow what the hell I'm talking about. So I apologize for that. So Will Chamberlain Archive said, by the way, I've had fans on my channel ask if I have the 1969 NBA Christmas game of Lakers versus Suns. Wilt blocked 23 shots and a nationally televised game that multiple fans have come forward to ask if I have it, which I don't, but the NBA might be sitting on it. That's the game, the kind of games we need more of them. 100%. And again, I'm willing to pay money to be able to see it. It just sitting in some vault somewhere isn't helping anyone. I want access. I mean, I imagine, the legalese of trying to figure out that type of ownership, copyright, usage rights, whatever is almost impossible to navigate, but I really wish that they would try. Wooded said, need some Kareem versus Thurman games, as people say those were battles. I bet they were. I absolutely bet they were. Will Chairman in Archive said also conflicts with their modern narrative. It 100% does. You can't masquerade your current product as bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled if there's substantial video evidence showing that's not necessarily the case. Well, gentlemen or viewers, I hate to cut this short, but I just realized that I have been on for 2 hours and I need to eat before I die. This has been incredibly enjoyable. Thank you all for tuning in. Wilt Chamberlain Archive. It has been a pleasure getting to discuss this stuff with you. I hope we will get a chance to do it again. But I do need to go because I am starving. But thank you all for joining. I sincerely appreciate it. I can't thank you guys enough. And we will be doing this again soon. So I will talk to you guys later.